So recently, I went to DreamCon. Don't believe me? Here's my pass. About my time there, well, it seems to be a bit controversial. Criticism that DreamCon has been getting is extremely valid. That event was ghetto. So a lot of people were coming to the defense of RDC World, DreamCon, saying they had fun. Oh, people shouldn't be going to the event to see certain creators. That's not what this is. Not a meet and greet. Can't tell somebody who spent their hard earned what they should prioritize on a convention, so around their favorite creators. You know, people announcing that they're going to be going there as panelists can very much influence people into purchasing tickets. This entire discourse around DreamCon started because one person didn't wait until DreamCon was over and voiced their frustrations about how much of an unorganized mess it was for them. Almost to the extent, well, not almost, to the extent of actually calling for the cancellation and the de-influencing of people who wanted to go in the future. This person was clearly upset. This person's name was Kima on TikTok, and Kima had some valid points. But it's clear that her video is full of frustration and it's made out of emotion. I mean, you spent $200 to $300 on tickets, and just for you to realize that you wasted your money and time, wouldn't you be upset? Well, a lot of people had things to say about Kima, and for the majority of the ones that are getting clicks, it's the ones shunning her. It's the ones talking down about her, saying that she's talking a little too crazy. I understand calling to cancel a con is a bit wild, especially when there isn't really black spaces for us in the convention scene. But her criticisms were valid. Her extreme to cancel the event, though, yeah, that was a little too much. But some people decided to take the fact that she stated her extreme and dismiss her entire argument, and I felt like that wasn't okay. And a lot of those arguments, a lot of those people who said that were people who didn't have to experience the con the same way as everybody else. A lot of creators who had different access than the typical con goer. A lot of people who've been to other cons saying, okay, this first time con person expected something to be completely different than what it actually is, instead of educating the person on how experiences could have been worse and teaching them how to better communicate their frustrations. Because quite honestly, Hema could have addressed all her concerns a little better. But I appreciate the way she addressed it because it's herself. It's authentic. It's who she is. And it got motherfuckers to listen. If it didn't, we'll be having this conversation? I don't think so.
I just want to come on here and say this is no hate to some bros or anybody in that group. And I normally don't even come on TikTok and do stuff like this. But DreamCon, RDC, anything involving DreamCon needs to be canceled. I'm here to de-influence anybody that's been thinking about DreamCon, wanting to go to DreamCon. Do not waste your money. I took time off of work. I bought the tickets. I registered, came to everything on time. And this is the most disorganized thing I've ever seen in my life. This event had 22,000 people and barely any staff, barely any volunteers making sure everything is working accordingly. The app is crazy, it's crashing. You get registered, they unregister you for stuff, and it's insane. Platinum and gold means nothing. People that didn't even have no badges, that weren't even registered, were getting into platinum and gold past events by sneaking in, and nobody is stopping anybody. Everybody's bone rushing, everybody's line cutting and jumping, and nobody's stopping anything. Today, the Sunbros had a meetup from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Now, I was registered since yesterday. I got a notification that they unregistered me, which is weird, saying that it's full. How are you unregistering somebody that already got into the registration? So anyway, I was waitlisted. The event started at 5 p.m. I got there at 1 p.m. Waited in line 4 to 5 hours to meet the Sunbros. This was the only reason I came to Austin, Texas, all the way from Chicago to see them. I didn't come to see anybody else. And I stood there from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. just to see them. They let people that were not registered, that didn't have a gold or platinum pass cut. No volunteers, no staff said anything to these people. They didn't even have a rope in place. They just placed a rope about when it was about 4:30. Like, it's crazy. And mind you, it's 22,000 people at this event. Some Bros, each member in the Some Bros has millions of followers on their own, and you're only going to let 130 people in? I understand everybody can't get in, but it would be okay if they just let everybody file in, take a picture, leave, take a picture, leave, take a picture, leave. But even that didn't happen. And even the 130 people that made it into the room to see Some Bros, all of them didn't even get a picture. And that is crazy. Like, you're wasting people's time and money and everything they spent, and just to let people jump and cut and get into the event, it is crazy. Like, this is making me so mad. And it's not even just the Some Bros event. It's been, this whole experience has been horrible. Do not go to DreamCon ever again. I will never be coming back. Some Bros, you guys need to make your own event because this is terrible.
Now, throughout the time of Kima's video circulating on TikTok, it gets to Twitter. You know, Twitter runs with things and spins their own narratives and this, that, and so forth. There were people on TikTok having different opinions about it. Some of those opinions were not really in the benefit of DreamCon. Some people was like, oh, this person shouldn't be complaining. They should have did what everybody else did. And the person who I'm going to mention is another creator. One who I've watched, but I've also noticed that often responds to things in a very childish way and without a sense of compassion or understanding.
Yo, if you are complaining about DreamCon because you didn't get to do all the events because you didn't choose to skip and you didn't choose to like do what everybody else was doing, that is your own fault. DreamCon is fantastic. If you see a video on your For You page like bashing DreamCon, just don't be like her. Be an opportunist. She mad she didn't get to meet all the Sun Bros and stuff because she didn't think. If everybody else is skipping, why aren't you?
So when it comes to Cammy's rant and Cammy's talking points, I don't agree with him. Sitting here and telling people they should be doing what everyone else is doing by disrespecting people who paid their hard-earned and basically saying they shouldn't have been complaining, it's childish as hell and ultimately leads to cons and spaces like these being undesirable events. Opinions like that should probably stay within your head. Granted, it gets views, and most people only care about getting views. It doesn't progress the event for people who aren't content creators, who aren't going to respond simply for the sake of getting views, who are just responding for the sake of getting out their frustration. Again, I feel like his opinion is completely childish, immature, entirely. I don't agree with it whatsoever because it's from a perspective of, well, shit, I'm gonna do it because everybody else doing it. I don't care that you paid your money to do this, that, and the third. And it's funny to me because Cammy is someone who I believe bought a VIP pass. If he was to experience this a lot more, I don't think he would be saying that shit. But then again, I don't know him personally. And again, could just be takes for content. End of the day, it's childish. And it's completely directed at the Kima Girl video. Because my experience with DreamCon is more or less the same as Kima's. It was completely unorganized. There was a lot going on. There was lines, 2 lines wrapped around an entire convention center. This big ass convention center in Texas. 1 entrance for the first day. 2 lines that wrapped around the entire building and met at the end and probably dragged on a little more because I didn't go all the way to the end for 1 entrance. I voiced my concern that day. Come to find out, there was another entrance they had for a skywalk connected to the convention center. There was a hotel called the Hilton next to wherever the con was. People were using the skywalk to go across. And then the next day, they did make an attempt and opened 1 more door. I don't know how much better that made lines. I just know that I started using the skywalk. It was a lot quicker, a lot simpler to get in and out by using that skywalk. But not only did Cammy have something to say about her video, there was other people who had something to say about her video. A lot more on Twitter, and I'll get into those a little later.
Stuff because she didn't think. If everybody else is skipping, why aren't you?
Because I shouldn't have to skip the line for something that I paid for. That's not fair. That's not how that works. If I'm paying $250 and somebody's paying $75, I deserve I'm entitled to having more than them. Why? Because I went the extra mile. I pay the money. That's how that works. And this is excluding like emergency situations because that can happen. So yes, should they be better about that? Yes. And she has the right to say what she said. You can't say what you just say. That's not how this works. Just because you think it's okay for skipping line, no. Because that's how fights happen. And I'm surprised there hasn't been one yet. But they have to do better. I'm paying for a product, and if you're not delivering, you're going to get called.
You see this crap? This is a platinum badge, right? This means nothing. Nothing. Nothing at all. There were platinum events strictly for people that have platinum badges. And I knew people that didn't have badges at all that were getting in. Before me. Way before me. The basketball game yesterday. There were a bunch of people that had no badges. People that came just for that day that were able to get in before me. There was also the dodgeball game today, or tournament today, that I knew people from the Discord that did not have badges that snuck in. And just with all the things that have been going on this weekend, I have a theory. Here, follow me. So, they knew that there was going to be 22,000 people here this weekend, right? 22,000 people specifically here for DreamCon, right?
But people who want to say that, well, RDC is coming from 6K to 22K on no notice, you're wrong. You're completely wrong, and you're really just trying to support RDC by defending them when they don't need your defense. They knew how many tickets they sold because they were sold out. They knew that. If it wasn't 22,000 people that came, there was at least 22,000 people that bought tickets, and that's at the minimum level. You're telling me that with all those ticket purchases, we couldn't do better when it comes to hiring more con organizers or hiring better event staff or security? I'm gonna be honest, it's a personal job. I don't like Allied security. I worked with Allied before, and they're not a good company. Not to sit here and say that the people at the con were horrible, but I know Allied likes to do this thing where they undercut bids for contracts. They will offer services for the cheapest amount, and the people that they put at that con, you could tell they weren't really there to provide the best security service. They were there to get paid because their job put them on the site. I know that because I've worked in security, and that's a tactic people use just to secure contracts. They'll offer services for the least amount of money. But yeah, they could have hired better organizers for the con just to help them out, and better staff. Not even better, just more staff, and communicated with staff how they wanted things to work a lot easier. A lot of communication came through that app. The app was so shitty, by the way, and it's almost like the registration process and just the app itself wasn't even something the volunteers, because that's who the staff was, mainly volunteers, something they didn't even think about checking or asking about. They just went off of your badge if they did check. The people who snuck in just snuck in because the volunteers who were supposed to check were in the event too, not doing their job. Because quite honestly, you can't make someone you're not paying to do shit. They can just say they're volunteering and use that time to volunteer for exclusive access to things. The reason I know people have done that is because I've done volunteer work before, and I've worked with people who've done the same thing. The event was all over the place, but I feel like it's not enough to cancel them for. It's just some things they gotta fix.
Like many other people, this is my first con ever. Like my first con experience, first time being at DreamCon. Apparently last year was a lot more organized because there was less people. That makes sense, right? There were so many things that they did not account for. The app that you had to download to register for the events crashed every day, And then they started changing the rules as to like how you get into these events. It's first come, first serve. I got that email yesterday. There was a notification that said the way that you get into these events now is going to be first come, first serve, which basically makes this useless, right? Then you have the issue of actually getting into the convention center from outside. DreamCon is in Austin, Texas. Hot. The low every day is about 80 degrees. High 106, 107. There is no reason that there should be people standing wrapped around the building in 100-degree weather with the sun beaming, no shade. Also, the timing, right? We are black people. I get it. Black people timing. However, the events never started on time. But what I found out was that people were showing up hours early.
With that statement of people coming to this event and standing out hours ahead of time, that's completely true. And this is even with like small panels. There's a lot of panels they were running around the same time as main events or smaller like secondary events that had lines that a lot of people wanted to go to. And those panels were held in like small rooms that could probably hold between 30 to 40 people, and 40 at a stretch. I want to say maybe 30 at the most, but 40 if you're stretching it for real. And people would sit in front of those panels, those little meeting rooms. So they were small ass rooms compared to every other little space that was in this convention center. Because also this was at a convention center, and they had a hotel where they had spaces as well. Yeah, they still had little bitty tiny rooms set aside for different little panels that they held. And a lot of the ones I wanted to go to packed out 2, maybe even 3 hours before the time the panel I wanted to go to started.
But then I have beef with the volunteers, and this kind of ties into my theory, right? I've walked into like platinum and gold level events where you needed this to get in without anybody checking my stuff, nobody checking my registration, and the volunteers sitting in the front row, like chilling, getting ready for the event without being at the door checking to see if people were registered. So my theory is, here's the first part of my theory.
Yeah, so he goes in to say his little theory about the volunteers and how people just volunteer for the sake of being in the event, which I think was the case for a lot of them. But he then goes on and rants about other stuff, about how RDC planned this event to be kind of messy so less people would want to come. I don't think that's the case, because if we're going off of the numbers that RDC claimed, 22,000 people came to this event, and the minimum price for a ticket was a weekend ticket. There wasn't any day pass. The weekend ticket was $75. Minimum price $75 for 22K is 1.6 mil. I don't think it costs that much to rent out both of those buildings. So, and they had hella sponsors. I don't think they want less people to come. I think they just didn't organize it the best way they could have. I think they underestimated the staff that they would have and tried to adjust in the spaces that they could, because of course now that the event has actually gone on, you can't hire any staff, and you can only hope at that point, if you were relying on volunteers, that the volunteers would actually come and do their job, which sadly isn't the case. I'm going to have to acknowledge that we have people confidently saying, oh, everyone else should have skipped if you saw people skipped. I think RDC should have spoke out on that immediately, because not only are you allowing people to disrespect your VIPs who paid extra for that access, they're disrespecting your entire event by saying they're going to do what they want to do regardless of whatever you have set in motion. Like, they probably didn't care because they pulled in some mills during this event, but even if they do, they should probably get something done about that in the future. I mean, if volunteers aren't going to hold anybody accountable, it's not like they can actually ban anybody. They just got to actually get staff in order and in place. And, I hope they do it because it's too much potential. DreamCon had a lot of potential. I did not have a super great time at DreamCon, but I love the fact that I got a chance to meet my mutuals. That's what I came there for, and I wanted to pick up on game about the industry. It had potential to really, really be a fun event. I didn't have so much fun, like I said, because of my main goals weren't being to meet and greet with folks, watch the main events. That's not what I wanted to do. I did want to buy more stuff, but that's just on me and failure to properly plan. And I got smacked with an extra fee when I checked into my hotel. I was hurt. It took like 300 from me. That got into my budget a little bit, but yeah, that's not DreamCon related. Like I said, I didn't have a bad time, but I didn't have the greatest time, and that's not on the con mostly. But it could have been a lot better due to these minor, well, they're not even minor inconveniences. They're crazy inconveniences for a lot of people. So we go on to Twitter, and I'm only going to show you guys a few screenshots of tweets that I saw of people talking about Kima's video and talking about DreamCon. And you guys can break it down yourselves in the comments what you think of the event if you went, or what you think of people's opinions, and if that's going to sway you from ever going in the future. Because I'm going to be honest, I didn't want to go again. I really didn't. I did not want to go to DreamCon again because it was that unorganized and just that annoying to deal with. So many freaking changes, and just, that was in the moment. Ended up having fun. Eventually decided like, yo, it's not that bad. There's definitely different things I could have done to make the experience more enjoyable for myself. But then that's on me. So again, I'll probably be going to this event again. At the time though, I definitely understand how Kima feels and just probably did not want to go. I wouldn't have sat here and asked to cancel this shit. I just know for myself, I was at this point where I was like, yeah, I don't want to be around these motherfuckers. Too many motherfuckers. I don't want to do this. But yeah, it's definitely a hub of black nerd / geekdom that is needed. I have a tweet here from Infernal Omni on Twitter. He's responding to a video that was posted, which is Kima's, and he says, "Sucks that this person had a terrible time. I empathize. The criticism is fair and needed for DreamCon to improve. I'm positive the game at DreamCon will take every needed precaution to keep improving the attendee experience. But we not canceling DreamCon, that's not an option." And I understand. I understand what I'm saying. Canceling DreamCon, definitely not an option. I'll talk about another tweet I got from Soul King. I think I have another one of his as well. This one says, #cancel DreamCon is the craziest shit I've seen. Y'all really do not grace to anything black. Could have just stated your criticism, but nope, you wanted to do more. The thing is, Kima stated a criticism. It was just in a way that you didn't like. Soul King, I don't feel we are listening to people when they're frustrated and learning to take their full like breakdown with a grain of salt. Clearly she's frustrated. That's frustration. She probably doesn't think to cancel DreamCon like completely at this point. She was speaking out of the pure frustration of her not having the experience that she thought would be ideal. But sitting here to say like people don't give black folks grace when this event was ghetto as hell is manipulation in a sense, as well as it's just not a genuine take, I feel. And another tweet from the Soul King saying cancel a convention and de-influence the creators, said like some big hater shit, not gonna lie. We're getting caught up on the wrong parts of her message for the sake of impressions and the sake of having an opinion on the topic. I feel like a lot of people need to learn to shut the fuck up because you're not aiding the conversation. At this point, you're kind of pushing, not blame, but you're pushing negativity onto the person who had a negative experience. It doesn't help anything. Everyone's mad at how she wanted to voice herself, but here we are giving the same, if not worse, negative energy back to the person, even though they're clearly responding in frustration, and you're defending a group of people who either don't know you or you do know them and you're a yes man and don't want to tell them, yo, this shit could have been better. Here's a tweet from Mark Phillips responding to someone posting about DreamCon's basically run. 2018, 800 attendees. 2019, 1,200 attendees. 2020, they had COVID, so no DreamCon at all. 2021, 3,000 attendees. 2022, 6,000. 2023, 20,000 attendees. I'm going to correct this tweet because they did have upwards of 22K because they were also selling tickets at the convention. They had upwards of 22K people attend this con. So it is not 20K, it's 22K. Let's not lower the number and make it seem like something less than what it is. It's a big fuck up. The growth has been a blessing, something beyond my imagination, only 5 years. We're up against cons with 30 plus years of experience. We'll catch up soon. This is John. I think John is with RDC. So, John, I understand the tweet. I get it. I understand you want people to give you grace, but you'll get grace by acknowledging these problems in the most gracious way you can. It's kind of like you don't want to directly say that you've seen a girl's video because of clout or whatever, because I've seen people say this is about clout, and I will show you a tweet of someone saying that. But it's almost like we don't want to acknowledge Kima's video by also addressing that people had the same problem she had. Mark goes on and says, "Facts, my brother. Don't even worry about. We doing great. We're going to keep improving every year. Also happy to hear so many people love DreamCon." Great positivity, but we would love for you guys to address the actual concerns. I understand it's social media and they probably don't want any negativity on their social medias due to brand risk. But at the end of the day, your community is what made you able to do this. If you address it and take their concerns seriously, or just listen to their concern and let them know that you'll be doing your very best, not even necessarily roll out a plan right away. You could definitely inspire more people to come to DreamCon going forward, as well as even convince people like Kima not to completely cancel it and give it another shot. Okay, these tweets are from a girl named Favorite Senpai. I see her on TikTok a lot. In fact, I got a bonnet from her. I bought a bonnet. She had a little shop at the exhibitor hall in DreamCon. She goes on a rant about DreamCon and the videos we were talking about before, mainly Kima's videos. So let's get into her tweets. Without DreamCon, you wouldn't even have access to these type of close IRL interactions with your favorite Black creators, because there really wasn't a true space for us, which is why DreamCon was even created in the first place. Be fucking for real. Go to another con and see how you're treated. Next tweet. I need y'all that have never been to cons before to get hip to how they go. It's like going to a music festival. You're not guaranteed to see or meet the headliners up close. You should go expecting to find cool new creators or learn something new and valuable. Telling people what they should and shouldn't do when it comes to how they spend their money at these events is a little awkward. I'm not gonna sit here and say it's anything other than that, but people have their own reasons. They can be just find out that it's not gonna be like that. But telling people what they should expect or should expect, nah. Let them have their own expectations. They get shot down or they do what they need to do to actually meet these people. That's kind of how they should go about it. Telling people who are clearly close friends to leave the other and make their own version of a con is mad wild. What are we talking about for real? And it's not wild. It's not wild to tell your favorite creators to make their own con. I don't think it's wild for her to say the girl Kima wanted some bros to make their own convention. I don't think it's wild for some bros to have their own convention, because who's to say that the convention is going to compete with one another? They might end up working with one another. That's how my brain immediately thinks. A Sombros convention would probably be actually dope, but to sit here and say it's mad wild to kind of discredit the shit Kima had to say, I don't know. I'm not really fucking with the tweet so far coming from Senpai, but trying to de-influence RDC World and cancel a con again, I don't agree with. So maybe she's looking at it from that side. She's taking the one negative she didn't like about the video and using it to discredit every other point that person was trying to make. I see a lot of valid complaints. Y'all not wrong, but y'all have got to start learning that as a community, calling for a witch hunt type canceling over fixable issues is not the way to go about things. It's counterproductive. I really don't know who else other than Kima wanted to say cancel DreamCon. I'm pretty sure people used the tag cancel DreamCon for the sake of the conversation and constantly talking about it in that video. But I don't think anyone other than Kima was talking about cancel DreamCon. I haven't seen it. Not saying it doesn't exist, but I haven't seen it. So throughout this entire conversation, the only people talking about said canceling a DreamCon refers to Kima's video. And there's these people here. Well, not these people. The few posts that I've shown you guys, there's a lot more, are only referring to Kima's video. This is continuation of the thread of tweets from Taylor Senpai. Someone by the name of Chase Amillie Dayman replied, I like this comment because it made a lot of sense to me. Black people have a real issue with admitting black-owned things don't be up to snuff sometimes. John himself admitted things could be done better and asked for feedback. Quit this narrative of people criticizing something is tearing it down, which is what I think a lot of people were doing. A lot of people were doing that. They were not sitting, they didn't want DreamCon to receive any sort of criticism, and it was kind of weird. Taylor responded. She said a lot of things in her video that was calling to end the con overall. It wasn't just one sentence. It was a literal hashtag, and she told people not to go multiple times. Again, you continue reading my thread. Again, when I watched Kima's video, I empathize with Kima because I experienced this con like a regular person. Senpai did not experience this con like a regular person. I can tell. She had an exhibitor pass. She had a fucking stand in the exhibit hall. She did not experience the con like a regular person. She could not empathize with Kima's frustration. So I'm pretty sure she's taking it all in as her just calling to cancel instead of like understanding, okay, she was hurt, or her experience wasn't ideal, and she was talking in the moment or in her feelings currently about how she felt. It's kind of not, it's hard to break down how to view someone's video like Kima's, because you have to already have a sense of empathy and understanding for people. But if you don't have that, it's hard to understand where Kima's coming from. And if you didn't experience the shit Kima did, I'm not sitting here saying it's hard for you to understand, but I kind of get why you don't get it. Soccer, blame our problems on race. Just take it on the chin. That shit was unorganized. This comment is from Prophet Zahar. It's phrased very weirdly. Doesn't really. The first part of his comment I'm not comprehending, but just take it on the chin. That shit was unorganized. I can agree with. Most cons right now are unorganized. LOL. I hate this. I hate when people respond with LOL, because that means, for one, you're mad. For two, you're not listening. And for three, you're about to do everything in your power to defend somebody and their bullshit. And based off of that first part, most cons right now are unorganized, is you kind of don't want, you know what, I'm gonna continue. Let's continue reading first before I go into that. That's what I'm saying. Y'all don't go to cons for real. So, what the fuck? What does that have to do with them having an issue? At this point, cancel all cons. If that's all it takes, laughing emoji shows that you're really pressed. Ain't nobody blaming nothing on race. I'm pretty sure that's a reply to another person's comment, though. I understand her saying ain't nobody blaming anything on race, because I don't think she did anything she said, but I'm pretty sure they're stating that because they've seen a bunch of other posts bringing up black spaces in the black con. But the first two parts of this tweet irritated my fucking soul, because you just did everything in your power to, first off, like, did this guy say cancel the con? I don't even think he said cancel the con. He just said that shit was unorganized. He didn't say it was unorganized, so cancel it. He was just mentioning it was unorganized. What the fuck are we talking about, senpai? Like, what are we talking about right now? Why are we so emotional? Why are we responding so emotionally to a con that you didn't run? I'm so lost. It's so many different responses from people like senpai who are defending RDC to this extent where it's damn near dick riding to exclude them from any sort of criticism. It's so fucking weird to me. And again, she didn't experience the con like everyone else. She was an exhibitor. Shit, she probably wasn't even just an exhibitor. She probably had a different badge other than that, because I know exhibitor badge was a thing for the people who had their own stands and stuff. But yeah, it's a little weird to me how hard she's trying to go for this whole not cancel thing when the people here responding to her aren't even calling for the cancellation of the con. She's responding to everything Kima has to say, but treating people who agree with there being problems as if they're saying cancel it. It's a bit manipulative to me, and it's her flipping a narrative that isn't there. I mean, it's there in Kima's video, but for some reason, she's addressing it to everybody. It's childish to me. Not even childish. It's just good manipulation. A lot of y'all top creators and best content creators are just good manipulators at the end of the day. So, yeah, we'll continue going. Kima ended up making another video, and I'm gonna leave this shit here, for the most part. But to begin her video, this is what she had to say in her little caption for it. Regardless of anyone saying I'm hating on RDC, whoever managed this convention, it is no denying how this was managed this year. Yeah, that I'm not understanding you right there, Kima. I'm entitled to speak on how I feel when I spent money to come here. Others feel the same way. She is entitled to speak how she feels, the way she wants to say it. But the backlash is going to happen because a lot of people are going to respond emotionally to an emotional response. I get that. At the end of the day, I don't know if she still wants to cancel the con, but it's just that part that people are getting hung up on, the whole cancel DreamCon shit.
People saying like, oh, I'm trying to tear down black people or whatever. To me, it's not about being black or white. To me, it's about like me being a person that has never been to a concert, a convention, anything like that, never been the person to really buy merch. For me to go out of my way and this be the first time that I ever really actually do support something and to get treated like this by my black people is kind of crazy. I understand that it may not have been intentional, but if you were going to increase capacity this year for more people to be able to come, then I feel like having more rope and more staff members and just more communication going on in general is kind of like bare minimum. And there was other people that felt the same way, that it was their first time and they feel like they got treated wrong, they feel like they got scammed. And you have the right to feel any type of way if you're spending your own money, honestly. I mean, you want the service that you paid for, or you want at least whatever they told you. And a lot of people saying like, oh, it was weird that I only came for some bros. A lot of people came for their own reasons. Some people only came for the anime. Some people only came for the cosplay. Some people only came for RDC. It really doesn't matter what you came for. When you pay for a service, you should get what you paid for regardless. You shouldn't have to fight for your spot. You shouldn't have to be bone rushed and stepped on and trampled in something that has been going on for 3, 4, or 5 years, however long. Like, I feel like that is one of the things that should be already handled. I understand they are growing and getting better, but if you knew you were going to increase the capacity, that should have been something that was talked about. Like, and it wasn't even about the Some Bros event. It's just that's what I posted on because that's what I strongly felt about at the time. But everything that I observed there is just like, just mobs and crowds running and rushing into things, whether they had passes, whether they had registration. It was just like no clear direction to me because they was like, oh, you need to be registered, but then people were getting in without registration. They were like, oh, you need a gold and platinum pass, but then people were getting in without the gold or platinum pass. So I'm just like, what is really going on? They were basically like, oh, you need all this, and they changing the rules as they go, and then in the end, everybody just bone rushes in and get in, and regardless of what status, whatever you did, like, it didn't matter. It just sucks because when you did everything you were supposed to do, got your pass registered, everything, and it just doesn't matter in the end, it's just kind of messed up. And it's like, I don't hate RDC or anything, but it's just like, I would want to come back another year, but it's just like, I'm scared, like, am I going to get scammed again?
From this video, her saying you should pay for your service, it's coming from she had a VIP ticket. I can understand her complaints if she had a VIP ticket and she felt like people were getting put above her even though she paid for that exclusivity. I understand where she's having a problem because there should be no way how a VIP doesn't get into these things for VIPs. Like, it should be at bare minimum set up so that your VIPs get into these. Either it should be set up into a way where all your VIPs can get into these events when they're scheduled, especially when you make them VIP prioritized. How the hell are we not doing that? That's where I kind of see her point coming from. That's what I kind of get. And a lot of people had the same issue because a lot of people who were VIPs were fucked over, plain and simple. And at the end of this, basically saying that she would come back another year, but she has this sense of not knowing if it's going to be the same bullshit again, lets you know that she was clearly frustrated and she would give them another chance. But based off of this experience, she's scared that it's going to happen again. Could you blame her for feeling so strongly? Like we're letting first time con goers and first time people who experience these things have a shitty experience when they paid for the ultimate experience, I guess, with the platinum and gold stuff. But here we go, and there's, you know, people taking her message, listening to part of it, not fully comprehending where it's coming from, and just disagreeing with it. And I say it's for clout, and I say it's because they're dick riders, simply because they're refusing to understand where this girl was coming from. And as a regular con goer, I understand where this girl is coming from. I'm so glad I didn't buy a platinum or gold freaking upgrade. I was going to, but they got sold out within seconds because that process was getting crashed and you aren't getting the experience you paid for. I understand where Kim is coming from. There's a lot of people trying to gaslight this girl. There's a lot of people calling her a clout chaser because she made her video about this shit. End of the day, if someone didn't say what she said, a lot more people probably wouldn't have voiced their concerns. We got content creators and exhibitors sitting here on their platforms speaking down on this girl for the way she had to say something just because they didn't like it and they want to show support to RDC. Come on, y'all. Use your brains. I know y'all got a little bit up there, right? End of the day, DreamCon was a solid experience for me. Could have been way better. And a lot of people feel the same. I'm Jay Prince. This is my video about DreamCon. I'm still going to end up going another year, but probably more so with a group with a better planned out system and schedule for ourselves. Y'all take care. Until next video.